Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week I'm Learning, the podcast where the hosts are made up and only the topics matter. Wait.
Oh.
We're real.
That's all right.
We're real. It's okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, today is August 20th, 2020. That's 320s. And as always, I'm your host, Brandon Vader of the techpirate.net. I am joined by special guest, I think, one of these directions, Charlie Stifler. Down below me, I believe, Cody Stratman. And then over that direction, Colton Roper.
Wow, that's a
Yes.
first. For Colton's grab was slightly off, but it's all right.
It's all right. Wait, would it be like that?
No, you'd
Oh,
opposite.
I could come over here?
Yeah, you'd grab
Okay.
something. Yeah.
A blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while.
It's all right. We literally practiced for, 3 hours before we started this podcast, and we still fucked it up. God damn it.
Yeah. That's all good.
How's everybody doing?
Well, we should... Okay. I get to return to work, so my sanity is slowly returning also.
Can I
That's
give you
something.
some of my tickets?
I don't have to go back to work soon.
How's paternity leave?
Paternity leave is fantastic. My in-laws got on the road about a couple hours ago, so the house is a little bit more open, a little bit quieter. But my wife is still getting more sleep than me, even though she's the one getting up more than I am right this second. Don't ask me how to explain that one because I can't. But it's great. She's beautiful. Everyone's happy and healthy. Couldn't ask for more.
Excellent.
Great.
Well, I have an interesting fact for you guys. Cody, you know what? I'm
Okay.
going to ask you this fact. Did you know that our podcast is banned in over 200 countries and regions in the world? Now,
And
so through my extensive research, I found we're banned in Skyrim, Rivellon, Middle-earth, Narnia, the Galactic Federation, Klingon and Romulan neutral zones, San Andreas, Azeroth, Hyrule, Westeros, and North Korea. So that's just a few, guys.
I'm going to get you back. It might
Boom.
take me a couple minutes, but I'll get you back.
All true, by the way. No fake news here.
we could probably do an episode in Star Citizen, though. One of these days.
We'll have to.
Yeah.
I got that.
Anyway, maybe
mining
once it
rover.
releases.
So when my newborn graduates college.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Hopefully sooner than that. but-
Scenery behind me will be a little bit different then.
Hopefully. When it will.
Yeah,
It will.
more festive.
lot more palm trees. Wait, are there palm trees? Yeah, there's palm trees there.
Yeah, there's coconuts.
You've been there.
Coconuts.
I don't remember. I don't know.
So much alcohol.
He was drunk
so
the
much
entire
alcohol.
time.
I don't even remember.
I had to carry
the
him everywhere.
The first 3/4 of that trip was just a blur to me.
Actually, no. The opposite of that almost happened. I have
was-
infinite energy.
That was you.
I know.
That was you. Yeah. That was a fun night.
At
One of these
least you
days, we'll have
didn't
to talk
turn
about
into
it.
the sock ninja.
Oh, I didn't have
But-
socks.
We digress. Should be an interesting episode today. Cody is going to tell us about how he's learning how to build an aircraft. Apparently, part 1.
Ooh.
Colton,
Interesting.
it is paramount to know about the movie situation. Paramount, Colton?
Terrible.
Paramount.
Terrible.
I wonder if that's a hint. Could be. I don't know.
I would say about as much hint as my arms last week.
We're not doing that pun shit again.
I broke the pun counter, by the way. I claim victory. The reason why that uploaded without a pun counter is because I fucking broke it.
And because I had a stupid macro on my keyboard that I forgot I had. But
Either or. And
a
Brandon,
little bit of both.
apparently we're going to have to sing this, because I'm going to say, come fly with me, come fly, let's fly away. I don't know how to sing that song. Oh, yeah.
Excellent. That's all right.
Wait, that's
At least you tried. I was
Are you
hoping. I was hoping.
Are you encroaching on Cody's topics?
That's the Singapore That's the commercial that I kept seeing when we were flying Singapore Airlines on that trip, and that was getting really irritating. Like is the Singapore Airlines credit card thing and the seat back entertainment. That's the only reason I know that song, because at first I thought you were going to sing the Fat Rat version of it, which is way different and
Uncultured swine.
That's a Sinatra song. Rat Pack. That's.
I'm not a Sinatra person. I don't jive with that kind of music.
It's a cultural classic.
Yeah, it's a classic. I don't care. It's too slow. It doesn't
I
make
can
you.
sing it faster.
Okay, leaving that landmine alone.
I know. Whatever.
All right, Cody, tell us about building a plane.
It's not a plane. It said aircraft.
An aircraft.
So actually,
Plane of existence.
there you go. Charlie's giving you a hint.
Ah.
So I've been looking at kind of a new hobby or something to keep me entertained during the 2020 year of whatever. And
Malware.
Excellent perfection of humanity.
I
Human malware.
I love it.
Totally stolen from Level 1 text, but that's okay.
Good place
Yeah.
to steal it from.
They're
Yeah.
knowledgeable.
Good company there. Yes.
Anyway, so I've been thinking, hey, I really need to get a drone because you can do some like really cool photography with drone, especially here in Alaska. Like there's some beautiful drone footage around here. And it's like, you know what would be cooler than just buying a drone? Having one of the first-person view drones. Now, if you haven't seen the YouTube videos with first-person view drones, pause, don't go away, but pause, go watch that, and then come back. See, wasn't that awesome? That was really awesome.
Flawless. Welcome back, guys.
Wow.
Anyway, I decided, like, hey, I want to do that. So I haven't ordered any of the parts yet. This whole phase of it is just the research, which in order to build one, you need a lot of different components, and I'm going to have to learn how to solder much better than when I had a Radio Shack soldering iron that the tip of it was so damaged that it became from a pointy tip to an indent, and it was just all charred. Well, I now know that there's a thing called flux that's very important, and apparently you're supposed to tin the end of your soldering iron and clean it. Who knew? Well, I know now, so... But there's...
So,
Go ahead.
are you 3D printing any of these parts?
I don't have a 3D
or having
printer,
any of these
so-
parts, or having them 3D printed for you?
Maybe. The part that I'd be looking at having a 3D printed version of would probably be the GoPro mount, and I'm still debating whether...
Okay.
So, with these things, you actually fly via analog video in most circumstances. Unless right now you get the DJI system. And I'm not going to go that route for two reasons. One, it's super expensive. It's like for the goggles and the radios and stuff for that one, and the camera, you're looking at basically $1,000. And two, it's not compatible with anything else but itself. So I'm debating...
Proprietary system.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound fun.
And you still
Even
have
in
to kind
drones.
of pay attention with the drone stuff because not everything works well together. So you still have to pay attention to what motors you're getting, and the motors were surprisingly cheap. Guess, or I shouldn't have said that, but guess how much like a pack of 4 motors are.
Are they surprisingly cheap?
Maybe.
$12.79.
All right, I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Price is Right rules, and I'm gonna go $9.99.
I'm going to go $10. Final answer.
For a pack of... You guys are all way too under. Okay, so I was thinking...
$53.
I was thinking that they were going to
Damn
be
it.
like, $100 a piece for each of the motors.
Oh,
so,
no.
okay, well, apparently my perspective's way off. But yeah, they're only like, for pretty good ones, $15 a piece. So I'm pretty happy with that. depending on the radios you get in the controller, so if you want a really nice controller for them, it's like $200 to $300 for a really top-notch one, like Hall effect sensors, 900 megahertz, like really cool stuff. So some of the 900 megahertz equipment.
What's the advantage of going with a higher quality
remote?
Well, remote.
So the remotes actually have their it's called OpenTX. The system that runs on it is basically miniature computer that you're using, and you can actually have these upgrade modules. So like the one that I was looking at is 2.4 gigahertz, but you can throw this upgrade module into the bottom of it and then operate on a 900 megahertz channel instead. And there's it seems like a lot of the stuff, like the goggles also have upgrade modules to them. So you've got like the remote that communicates with the drone. So on the drone, you would have a receiver unit for the controls. So control transmitter, which is the controller in your hand, control receiver on the drone. And then you've got what they call the flight stack, which is a power distribution board and then a flight controller. The flight controller has a gyro on it.
Right.
And depending on what one you get, like I've seen it where they can have 2-in-1 too. And then there's these, what they call ESCs, which are electronic speed controllers, and you have to have one for each motor. But I've also seen it where those can be integrated into the power distribution board. So I've seen a lot of stuff that can be together, and sometimes there's stuff that's Bluetooth. So it's going to be interesting. I still haven't picked out the parts yet, but still doing the research on that. And then you've got your camera, your FPV camera, which is different than the HD camera for recording, unless you have what's called a RunCam split, which is one camera that can actually record high definition while also providing the analog video that you would use. And then that goes out via a video transmitter, which is the reason that I actually have to get a ham license now. Mm-hmm. Because, so I think it must be a power issue, because I was looking at the frequencies, and it looks like it operates on the 5.8 gigahertz, which is an open frequency. Your Wi-Fi uses the 5.8 gigahertz. So I'm not entirely sure. There might be more frequencies that it can use that I'm not aware of, since I'm just introducing myself to this. But this week I'm learning, not this week I am a master of. So,
right. So question for you. Do you know what license you have to get for the ham license? Because there's
lower end one. Yeah, the technician.
Okay. So I got my technician 4 years ago.
Oh, cool. So you're still...
Really?
Yep.
So did that ever expire?
10 years.
And you can renew it.
So if you look at the back of my FJ, KE0EXR is my ham handle.
Nice.
I got it for the purpose of doing a charity bike event that my wife is the event organizer for, and that I am the chief medical volunteer for. And so all we do is communicate day of, either via cell phone or via ham. And 90% of the banana traffic, we need more ice, we've got to write her down kind of thing happens over the radio. And hey, we need to make sure this person on this corner has this thing is all done by cell phone. But that's why I got my ham license. So my wife actually has her ham license as well.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
I might actually look at getting a real ham radio after this. I don't know. That's kind of a secondary thing.
Man, that is a money suck. I have a decent radio that works great line of sight and a little bit in the 20-mile range, no problem. That's fine. But that was a couple $100. If you want something that could talk to, I don't know, someone in Thailand, we're talking
space.
Thousands of dollars. Well, no, space is actually easier than the other side of the world. Way easier.
Shorter distance.
Exactly, and it's direct line of sight.
Oh, yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
whereas, you're talking about bouncing off the ionosphere in order to talk to someone mostly around the world from you. There's a day, a ham day every year. It's called Field Day, and your job, your mission, is to get as many contacts all around the world, and the person who gets the farthest contact wins. Or there's different levels of contests, but there's most contacts, farthest contacts, average farthest contact, that kind of thing. But there's people, you drive through any neighborhood in the lower 48, and you'll see some knuckle job with a gigantic antenna on his
power
roof,
in their back,
and he's probably got $20,000 worth of radio inside.
So my uncle was actually really into this stuff too. And so I'm, due to the situation and the closest testing center being Wasilla, which is this Saturday, they have a test. So
that's a drive.
Yeah, I mean, I could overnight in Anchorage or whatever, but I know somebody who actually works where I work, and he is in government, in charge of people, so that allows him to be a proctor. He also has his general license, so he can give me my technician exam and be my proctor. And he's in emergency services, emergency management, so that fulfills even another quality. So I should be able to have him proctor me, and then I'm going to have to set up my webcam and have them watch me, and then have them view my screen as I take the test.
So, interesting little note. If you sit for your technician, they might ask you at the end, hey, do you want to, try for your general? And if you score high enough, you get your general, and you only pay the one fee.
Yep.
You get it's the license fee. You're not paying for the instructor or the person, because it's completely a volunteer society that certifies and holds these trainings, or not trainings, but testings. So I actually have my general. I never changed my call sign to match. So I paid one fee and got my general.
I saw that too, and so I bought the study guide for the technician and the general. So I'm going to be trying.
My handbook is right over there. I've been studying for the last year. I mean, not like studying, but I have been intending to study for the last year.
There are a dozen really good free online testing resources where you can just take a free ham technician test online, and it'll grade you real time. And after 100 questions, you kind of realize that there's only a couple hundred questions in the test bank. And I saw 100% of the questions from my actual tests on those online. So if you use those online testing prep, they're all free. Don't pay a dime for any of it. But it's all very, very much in your guys' wheelhouse. I mean, all of you guys have network, architect, and tech support backgrounds, and 98% of the licensing is not knowing what channels you can be on. That comes after. But the actual technical know-how of what a radio transmitter is, and what a receiver is, and what a circuit diagram looks like. And it's very strange, the things they chose to include on their licensing, and then a bunch of rules and regs, like what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do, that kind of stuff. But it doesn't go into the delineation of actual frequencies, because those change just enough that they don't want to have to rewrite the tests.
They actually took out Morse code too back in 2007.
Yes, they did.
You don't have to learn that.
I was so thankful.
Oh.
I mean, it'd be interesting to learn, but especially for me, it would be completely unnecessary, because I'm not going to communicate with my drone in Morse code.
I'm communicating to you right now in Morse code.
That's
I'd have to go back and look.
What'd you say about my mama?
That's not going to happen.
I was wondering why you were looking really serious, and Brandon was laughing.
I was blinking.
I was like, okay, it's something I'm picking up on.
I'm a Navy brat, so it was basically bred into us. So
I know SOS, which I actually had to use with an air horn on the lake when the boat engine died and we could not get it restarted. To try and get the attention of another pontoon boat that was maybe 100 yards away. So I took off my red shirt and was waving it, and yeah, because I tried to yell at him because I know that, you know, my whistle, the whistle I use to tell my son, get your butt back inside or stop doing what it is you're doing. I know that travels easily about 100 yards. And so I was whistling and waving and not getting so much as a reaction out of this guy. It's like, all right, you know what? Air horn and yeah. And it's like, no, obviously, like, I've got an entire toolbox, like, spread out over the back that covers off the motor. Like, I'm dripping wet because I've been hopping in and trying to do different things to the engine. But did finally he came over and gave us a tow, and yeah. So next year, new engine, because screw that.
Hey,
that sucked.
Morse code.
That was the second time I had to swim into shore.
Ooh.
Scuttle that.
That one was close enough that it wasn't so much a swim, but the time last year, I want to say it was about a 150-yard swim with a rope tied around my waist.
Pulling a boat.
Pulling it.
Pulling the boat?
Yeah, 21-foot party barge.
I would have just swam in, said, hey, can someone drive me back out there and tow me back in? Instead of he-manning the tow job.
He's an expert swimmer. I mean...
Yeah, it's probably just a good workout for Brandon.
Yeah, it's his training.
Yeah.
He does that on Thursdays for fun. How was your swim?
It's a 60-pound rock under me.
Wait.
But anyway, I'm planning on getting the ham license, and then after that, starting to order parts and solder it all together. So I've got a bunch of tools that I've got to order, and then this. I'm looking for the whole build to probably be around, including like the goggles and the controller, probably a little bit under $1,000, maybe around $800 or so for everything, for a decent drone that can lift my GoPro. I was looking at the sessions, but I'd have to spend another few $100s for the session, so I might as well just make one powerful enough to lift the GoPro.
The first generation Session 4 on eBay, you can get them for, I want to say like $100.
The one thing that I'm concerned about that is the Session 4 didn't look like it had any sort of image stabilization. So I don't know how much the drone vibrates, because they actually have little rubber grommets for the flight controller, so it's separated from the body.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And also something I learned is carbon fiber, which is what the body of the drones are made out of when you buy them, is actually electrically conductive. Had no idea.
Yeah, carbon nanotubes are potentially a superconductor.
Yeah, so you can't just
put
put
I knew
the
about
circuit.
Carbon nanotubes, but
yeah, you can't stick the circuit directly on the carbon fiber body.
Interesting.
Cool.
Anyway,
the Hero 5 does have image stabilization because that's what I use on the motorcycle. That and then a Hero 7 Black Edition?
Yeah, the Hero 7 definitely does.
The
the
5
Session
does too.
5. Yeah, the Session 5 does.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's the one that I have on the front fairing pointed at me, and then it's the one that I actually use the audio from. Because being behind the fairing, it's protected from the wind noise, so you can hear the engine and the road noise.
So is the Session 5, is that waterproof?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I've dunked it in the lake. The under the ice picture was actually me putting it on a selfie stick and shoving it through the ice.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool picture.
Yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned it. What kind of drone are you looking to build? Like an actual plane style, or more like a quadcopter?
quadcopter. So quadcopter, 5-inch, which refers to the blades.
So each blade is the size of my drone.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fan.
No, this is a mini little drone, and it flies completely remoteless, but it doesn't like me right now, and I've pissed it off, and it has
performance issues.
All it has to do is like feel that it's up in the air, and it'll actually power on. But it's got, let's see, it's got a sensor right there, so it can detect below it, and then it's got 2 optical sensors on each side, and it's programmed to slowly turn. So if it gets close to an object, it'll back away from it. If it gets low, it'll go right to the ceiling. And it's really important that it's an inside drone only, because once it starts going up, bye! there is no remote control to bring it back.
Yeah, power.
And I live
It'll
right
run
next
out of
to a
batteries.
very
Just
large
wants to be
road,
free.
and it would go crunch, 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 crunch.
How many? So that almost looked like it was just a single prop.
There are 4 props in there.
You
so
can
there's
just
one.
barely see the
okay.
4.
I see him. So, huh.
That's
okay.
a really bad picture. Let's see if I can get it to fly again.
Yeah. Well, there's one that's about that size called the Tiny Hawk that I was looking at, and it's a whole setup that you can get for, I think it's $165. So,
Okay.
yeah, if you really want something to fly around your house. Oh.
Hey, did it!
Yay!
Okay, there you go.
For those of you listening on the audio version, you should really at least check out this little drone talk
Or
to see the amazing
be afraid.
little drone finally pop off.
Took a minute, but it's worth it.
Oh yeah.
But as I progress with different phases of this, it'll be different parts, so you guys will actually know what my topic is each time for a while, but it'll have gaps in it.
Okay.
Yeah. Intermittently.
So, have you guys ever heard of the Paramount decrees?
Paramount
history.
decrees?
Decrees, yeah.
No.
Like,
No.
how about Paramount Pictures? I know
Oh,
you
yes.
guys have heard of those.
Yes.
The damn
Star Trek.
Yeah, the movie theater with the damn the mountain with the stars that comes around.
I've always wondered
yeah.
which mountain that is.
I think it's just a drawing, honestly. Well, that might be worth a Google.
Hold on.
Well, while you're looking that up,
Google.
Yeah.
well, basically, I'm going to be talking about the repeal of that Paramount decree, and which is also known as the Paramount antitrust case, as well as any potential ramifications of doing so, because this actually happened a few weeks back, kind of a big deal. First off, a little bit of history, could be a little bit of blast of the past, more of a little history of movie theaters in particularly. So we'll start with this. One of the earliest surviving films that we know of today is the Roundhay Garden scene, which was created in 1888. It was a whole massive 2.1 seconds of a man riding a horse.
Yep. Then it was.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's it. It was basically a TikTok video. That's all it was really. See, we've come
But
full
there was
circle.
no music.
Well, you
You
could
just belittled the first motion picture.
but it's the same. But it's not the first. It's the oldest surviving.
Okay,
But-
you've officially faux pod worse than hating Frank Sinatra.
Oh, pshaw. Well, okay, well, how about this? So, kind of interesting little fact about that particular little movie. It has 158 reviews on Google with an average of 3.9 stars.
Sure.
So I'm not the only one who's kind of down on it, but so it's kind of so that's very first film. Wasn't just 2.1 seconds, wasn't any movie theaters left. It was just a bunch of inventors. I think it was a French Italian guy who basically took multiple pictures of a racehorse that was running around a track, and then he put those pictures together and made a moving picture. So you fast forward to the summer of 1905 when the first modern movie theater actually opened. That's at least as we know it today. It was called the Nickelodeon, and its feature motion picture was actually called The Great Train Robbery, which was a massive 12 minutes long. had multiple acts and everything. Kind of it's a blockbuster almost. Basically, tickets at that theater were only a nickel, hence the reason it was called the Nickelodeon. Wasn't until around the mid-1910s that movies started to become relatively big business, and that's when movies started to be around 2 to 3 hours long, which is pretty much the standard of today. Starting to actually move towards a shorter time, but roughly 2 hours. It's kind of right around the mid-1900s. Many major motion studios, movie studios, had actually started to buy up these smaller movie theaters. And right around 1940, the big 5 theater chains at the time were all owned by the 5 largest movie production companies. Those being Warner, Lowe's, Fox, the defunct RKO, and Paramount. Hence, starting to get kind of some weird antitrust issues here. The 2 main issues at the time were that the production companies were only showing movies that were made in their theaters, and having sole ownership of they also had sole ownership of the first screening and exclusivity rights of any motion pictures created. So basically, while the hype was highest, these companies had complete control over the movies they created. So the smaller movie theaters at the time just couldn't really make it, which they lost money, they were bought up by these big companies, and so on and so forth. Obviously created a major issue here. So around 1948, a case was brought to the U.S. Supreme Court regarding these practices. In the United States v. Paramount Pictures, it was found that these practices basically created monopolies and oligopolies, which are bad, obviously.
Yeah, and this is the issue of why the vertical monopoly is actually worse than the horizontal monopoly.
Exactly. That was actually a particular argument in the case, that it creates a damn monopoly. Owning the production from every aspect just shuts out everybody else in the market. Basically, because of this decision,
looking at you, Apple.
Sure, it's a whole nother thing. Movie studios were forced to separate from their theaters, which led to an increase in independent movie theaters, an increase in independent producers and actors at the same time, because these smaller movie theaters and production companies didn't have to follow the Hays Code movie code back in the day, which was the morality and basically a standard that all movies had to follow back in the day before this case. Is very constricting artistically. That's rules like you couldn't show a certain amount of skin, certain words could never be said.
No ankles.
Censorship. Nope,
shoulder.
Never an ankle. Put that away. It's not after hours yet, psycho. Interesting little side note of that is Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures actually was created kind of because of this decision. Because at that time they weren't the mega evil corporation they are today. They were just starting out. Basically, because of this decision, the art form of movies and production and acting was expanded upon. So, really a good decision. But kind of brings me to why I'm talking about today, because on August 7th, 2020, the decision that was found in U.S. v. Paramount was actually overturned by the courts. Yeah, so the Department of Justice that was seeking this argued that it was unlikely that the remaining defendants can reinstate their cartel. So it seems like they're basically saying that the movie studios have learned their lesson. They're not going to start buying up movie theaters again.
Right.
Because but that's just that industry.
That's just the argument. I'm not.
That happens we all know that every other industry. Like you look at tech giants. That's what they do. They buy up each other. They absorb their competition. Like if you look at Amazon and what Amazon's absorbed. If you look at Google, what Google's absorbed.
No, they won't do it, though, because they learned their lesson, Cody. We all know the point of corporations is to make a certain amount of money and be happy with that amount of money.
Facebook absorbing Instagram.
Now, I will agree with you that, I'll agree with the court that movie production companies are not going to only show their movies in their licensed movie theaters. So, like, AMC... theaters.
Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not there yet. But like United Artists, AMC, all those folks, they want their movies in every movie theater, not just the ones they own. where the idea gets flipped on its head is Netflix and Amazon Prime and
See, and that's kind of the big thing. Disney is actually the one I'm thinking about because especially with the way the movie theater industry has been hit hard. Really, in the last 20 years, it started to gone down, and then of course with the economic slowdown,
2020.
That just
Mulan.
another 2020 thing. Yeah, there's that Mulan thing where basically it's a movie that would have been shown in all these other theaters, but
Sonic the Hedgehog
exactly
came out on Disney Plus. We actually watched it. And
you're
that
supporting
was,
the evil
I
giant.
think its main distribute. Well,
yeah, I know what you mean, but that's now granted
I
at this time
protested.
they don't own any physical movie theaters, but who's to say with their billions of dollars, who's to say they can't start acquiring some, exclusively show Disney Plus content, including movies and everything.
So
especially if this particular problem of 2020 keeps going for a certain amount of time.
Oh god.
So here's the break in the rationale though. Think back 1905, 1908. You know, you have one movie theater in your town and you're stuck. The only marketplace you can go to is that one movie theater. They've got you by the balls. Right now, I've got this, and I can choose. I don't need to watch Frozen for 947th time. I can go and watch something else.
what about Frozen 2?
Oh, stop it. I've only seen that in theaters once, and that's all the maximum number of times I'm going to see it. So help me God. Anyways, so, like, there isn't the geographical...
That's to say, it's a completely different landscape of the industry.
Right.
But there's a reason this law was put in place. Because if you go with the vertical integration, there's no reason that because of these movie theaters are failing, because of everything that's going on, who's to say that Disney doesn't acquire, I don't know,
Apple?
Not Apple, no. I'm trying to think of a movie theater chain.
AMC.
Who's to say that Disney won't acquire them? Because they have the money to do so.
Hey, guess
Who's to
what?
say
Amazon was buying AMC before this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They were
so
in-
there's already
Yeah.
exactly. So there's already kind of a push to do it, and now legally they can do it.
They can
And
do it, but what they don't
here's
have
the-
permission to do is only sell their
Right,
movies in that establishment.
At this point. But
Right.
hell, you could talk about freaking copyright law, and Disney has completely changed how that works because Mickey Mouse is supposed to be public domain now, but they've spent I don't know how much, but they spent millions of dollars to
millions.
extend the ownership of particular characters so they can control it longer. So
Hey, but Happy Birthday's in the public domain now, and that's all that
Finally.
matters.
This only happened
only
the
took
last
forever.
few years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. Happened only literally 13 days ago that it was actually officially overturned. So the ramifications haven't really been seen yet, but I would say in the next 5 years we're going to start seeing some interesting purchases and maybe some interesting corporate plays with what's going on. You look at an increase in that, you'll start losing independent movie theaters. In some theoretic, again, it's an extreme case, but you could get to the point where Disney is, and I'm using Disney as an example because that's the big one right now, but Disney is making literally the same boring crap, not even granted they're doing that now, but it's even more extreme where they're just making the same stupid crap.
Let's make it live action.
Oh yeah, I watched the live
Everything
Because
action.
live
lay off the
action.
nostalgia factor. God damn it. Ugh.
The
So
live-
it's
Yeah, I watched the live action version of Aladdin on the plane, and it's the exact same movie.
well, yeah. That's Lion King was the same movie. Beauty and the Beast was the same movie. It's in my opinion,
It had Emma Watson in it, though.
I mean,
I
She's
prefer
a-
Emma Stone if I'm gonna go Emma's.
she's a beautiful.
Oh, absolutely
actress,
not.
Very talented.
Hermione forever. Hermione forever.
Nah.
The point is they made $1 billion on it, and they didn't try anything new. They didn't do anything, and that's pretty much where they're at right now. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens soon, and I don't know. Just another nail in the coffin of the shittiness of this year.
Well,
You know what? I hope you're right. You know why? Because half of my retirement portfolio is in Disney right now.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I am in Disney as well. So, because
I mean, what's going to
they're
happen?
going to own everything soon.
If they push this way, it's just piracy is going to have a huge influx back, like it was about 10 years ago. So,
are you
really
advocating downloading a car?
we have 3D printers.
Did you see?
That's actually possible now.
Hold on. Did you see someone actually did download plans for a Ferrari or Lamborghini? Sorry, a Lamborghini, and actually 3D printed enough of it
awesome.
that it
I
is.
love it.
I had to show that to Esther because, I mean, we all grew up in the movie theaters. You wouldn't download a car.
Would download a car, would you?
God, what was all of that?
I would if I could.
Yeah.
You're goddamn right I would.
We are not advocating piracy
No, of course not.
on this channel at all.
The link below will not have links to that kind of
Or
site. Don't worry.
websites.
Or how to do it safely. Or no, not at all.
Okay.
Bad.
VPN. NordVPN. No.
We're not getting
sponsored.
money from
Sponsored
them
by
yet.
If NordVPN is watching and would like to sponsor us, call me.
Hi Nord, how you doing? How you doing, babe?
Sup?
What's up, PIA?
TWIL after hours.
Yeah, I mean, this is... So if the whole industry was smart, they would do something like Steam for movies. You know, that changed... That made online piracy way less prevalent. Instead, they're going the opposite direction
games, yeah.
of segregate and force people, because people can only pay for a certain amount of subscriptions. There is a limit to the amount of like monthly things people can buy, and it seems like these companies
it's only $5.99. Just $5.99 for this.
Three is the
I have
number.
3
$5.99
subscriptions.
more for this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
No, 3 subscriptions in total. So you have your cell phone, or do you consider that not a
No.
subscription?
I don't consider that a subscription, no. Because there's no other way to do it.
Yeah, that would be like calling your utilities a subscription.
Right.
Okay, fair.
Phone
And
is a
it's iffy.
utility.
And I am a
cell
very
phones-
firm believer that phone and internet are utilities.
Oh, you're damn right
Yes.
they're utilities.
Internet should absolutely be a utility. It needs to be managed as a utility. But that's
Well,
a whole other topic for another day.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
could
I
have a
could
whole
see the
rant on that.
infrastructure being a actually like city or government entity owned, and then different companies providing bandwidth over that infrastructure. I think is probably the best way to handle that. But anyway,
Something to think about. Well, so one last thing about this case being overturned, and bit of a conspiracy theory, but this particular case, US v. Paramount, was actually it was an antitrust case. So a lot of antitrust cases that came later actually used this case as
Case law.
Yeah, it's case law.
so it's
And
knock-on
that's-
effects.
So now you're thinking they're. I'm not saying they are. This is again there's no research behind this, but this is kind of what I started thinking about. Who's
This
to
is
say
opening a can
that
of
there's not
worms.
some weird force trying to tear down antitrust law? And you start with the not the granddaddy. That one's from like 1896, the whatever that one was, but a very important one, and you just start chipping away. I don't know. It's a weird thing to do at this time. That's all I'm saying. Doesn't make any sense. It's just weird.
It's especially interesting given all of the other antitrust cases going on right now. So
What was it? What was it? Time Warner,
Amazon, Facebook.
Oh yeah, they just all got deposition.
Yeah, they just all got.
And they only
deposed by
started,
the Senate.
and just
Apple.
a little more facts.
The
They
other
only the
Apple.
DOJ.
Yeah, Apple's the huge one right now.
It was
Yeah,
pretty
the
much all
DOJ
of
only
Fang.
started trying to take this down in November of 2019. So
So this
I
went
don't know.
through
It's-
quickly, relatively.
it's
sad.
just something to
quickly.
watch in terms of the news. Just
I mean, that's
be aware.
about as crooked as, like, I don't know, a guy that owns a lot of not U.S. Postal Service entities being in charge of the United States Postal Service. It's just ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous.
That can't possibly happen in this world.
That would never happen. That no one
Never.
would ever let that happen.
Crazy.
I need a drink.
Well, I don't know, Brandon. Can you possibly lift our spirits with?
I
Giving us a
can lift your
rendition?
spirits, and you shall soar.
Are we gonna ride on the wings of your majestic topic?
Icon
or are we
A5.
going to crash and burn?
No crashing and burning. I
This is some
think
Con
I
Air
have crashed
bullshit.
once so far in my experience with Microsoft Flight Sim 2020.
2020.
So, yeah, a good thing that has come out of 2020.
Technically,
Probably
it
one
was
of the few
developed
good
in
things with
2019.
2020 in its name.
Of course, it would be virtual.
There you go.
Yeah, it would have to be virtual. So yeah, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 released on the 18th, and after a 150 gig install,
Oof.
it is
God damn it.
yeah,
Bye
brutal.
data cap.
But yeah, if you have a data cap, you are going to have to lift it for this, or check out Shadow and not have a data cap there, but then have to worry about streaming.
Yeah, that doesn't work that way. Because
And
you still have
space
to stream HD to
on that
that.
shit.
Yeah. But either way, it is been just an awesome experience. So I live in Gunnison, Colorado, which is a town of 3,000 people.
Now you can get
To
doxxed.
when colleges, yeah, I don't. We're not.
And he
big enough
lives
to get
at.
doxxed.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no. I will not be doing a flyover of my house, even though I did with my son. That was the very first thing I did. But so 3,000 people when college is in session and, you know, it's winter in tourism, there's maybe 5,000 to 6,000 people in town.
Closer to 7, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way.
It's a tiny,
small.
middle of the
Very small.
nowhere town.
They have the
By the way, for
smallest
context,
Walmart.
all 4 of us
Yeah.
met and know each other because of Gunnison, Colorado.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's really
Yeah.
really an area that brings people together.
Yes.
Yeah,
From
people,
all different
viruses,
communities
you know,
and
it's great.
cultures.
All
So-
different cultures. I would say like 3
Yeah.
different cultures.
I mean, yeah.
It's
gonna
more
argue
like
It's
there.
like
Anyway.
snowboard, wannabe hippie snowboarder, like rancher.
Country hick
Yeah.
and Hispanic.
Yeah. So there we go. 3 different cultures.
Yeah, there you go.
And college kids looking to get their rec major, which does sometimes cross with the wannabe snowboarders. I'm sorry, did I offend you and your degree?
Psychology as well, asshole.
Programming degrees and accolades.
I can show you my wife's
Sorry.
master's.
mine are in the other.
Your wife has a master's degree?
Yeah, she's smart.
She's smarter than all of us.
S-M-A-R-T.
Then why did she
She's obviously
marry you?
not that smart. She did marry me. But
Smart.
know.
She's smart.
worse than that, she had a baby with me.
But yeah.
It's another little Charlie in
Okay.
the world.
Continue.
Anyway. So small town. It is not, you know, obviously our airport is not really known for much. It is one of the longest paved runways
Highest fares in Colorado.
in the area. Ooh, yeah.
By far.
Don't try and fly directly in here or out of here unless you are like Texas oil baron rich. But yeah, so I guess at one point we were a like 20-second backup landing location for the shuttle because our strip is 2 miles long. But apparently, because of our topography around, there would have been no way for it to
it would come to
get lifted back onto a 747 and take off.
Right.
Or
a ground transport
for it to get shipped out by truck.
To say they
So
would
it
have
would
to
have had to have
actually
gotten
dismantle
cut
it
into pieces
and pull it through the passes and everything.
But the lives of 7
But-
astronauts.
Oh, we'd do it. It would happen.
Outweighs the space shuttle. Absolutely. But so that's the only thing our airstrip is notable for. So in previous Microsoft flight simulators, because I have been doing this since Microsoft Flight Sim 3.1, I remember playing that on an uncle's laptop and it being black and white graphics and bridges were just vector lines.
See, at least I started at Flight Sim 95.
Yeah, and that brought color and
Chicago's little airstrip.
Pretty.
Yeah.
I remember that game.
And there has almost always been a strip here in Gunnison. Just as a look, here you go, it's a generic strip. And in I want to say it was Microsoft Century of Flight.
Yeah.
Was when, W Mountain actually became a mountain, but it never had the W on it in any of the flight packs. So
by the way, the W, for those of you who don't know, is the largest collegiate symbol in the world. It is a gigantic white stone W on the side of Tenderfoot Mountain.
Or blazing
big old
fire.
letter on a mountain.
But did you know that originally it started out as 2 B's for Vader Valley?
No,
bullshit.
It started off as an N for Colorado Normal College, which was an all-girls school.
It did.
I can
absolutely.
You.
But when I worked at United, I did have several pilots that came in that I had convinced that it was 2 B's because when it is lit from the bottoms of the W's and then comes up. So for a brief moment, it is very visibly 2 V's. So I would show them a picture and be like, yeah, and see, they show it as 2 V's and then continue to light it after that. No. I had one of them come back and call me an asshole.
That's the equivalent of me sending a brand new EMT down the hall to the OB unit to get special tubes for the X-ray machine. Yeah, go down to the OB unit and get fallopian tubes for me. Yeah, that's the same thing, Brandon. That's called gaslighting.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's not.
It's not gaslighting.
If they're that gullible.
It's not gaslighting.
I mean, if you can't be like, wait, isn't the college Western State? Well, now it's Colorado Western State.
No, it's
University.
Western State.
Yeah.
Western.
I don't know. Whatever. They've changed the name like 3 times in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So.
University of Western Colorado University.
Yeah, to anyone listening, just Google
now.
Gunnison, Colorado, or what is it? Is it Western State?
It's Western State, Colorado
Gunnison,
University.
Colorado College. Whatever the college is,
University
it will show you.
Of Western Colorado.
It's They changed it again?
Yes, they
did change it again.
Like I said, it's been changed 3 times in the last 3 years.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Gotta get the...
They changed it to what I said it should have been 9 years ago.
Yeah,
my degree has letters
that
don't exist anymore.
That makes sense. It should have been called Western Colorado. Whatever.
University of Western Colorado.
Either way.
Whatever.
So,
still
there,
get it right.
even in Flight Simulator X, there was not the W. There was not the fidelity.
Right.
You would not be able to follow 135 up to Crest Butte and expect to see the same kind of terrain or scenery. So because Flight Sim 2020 is based on satellite imagery and topographical maps, it is astonishing. Like, so very first takeoff, I grabbed the Icon A5, which is an amphibious plane, which, by the way, if any just ridiculously wealthy person wants to just shower me in gifts, Icon A5. I got
some bad news
love.
for you, Brandon. You're too tall for it.
Yeah.
And you would never be able to have a passenger.
Well,
So,
yeah, that
so
I
if you
get.
want
I
to, if you
am
want to give it to
almost at weight
Brandon,
capacity. I don't care
the
about
rest
that.
of us shorter, average people will gladly take it off of his hands.
Hey,
And
I'm all
explain
about
to him
Okay.
in detail the experience.
Oh yeah, I'm
Or-
absolutely
or
all on
Baron.
board with that.
Beechcraft Baron. I'd go
Okay,
for
so
Beechcraft Baron, and I would fit in that.
You'd fit in that.
okay, I want the Hawaii Mars, which is a 4-engine seaplane that has a 38,000-pound payload capacity that is 2 stories tall. I'm going to convert it into a flying houseboat. That's my Powerball idea. Still is, by the way. That's been 10 years.
So we're just creating an airplane wish list here.
Yes, yes, we are.
Cody, what is your wish list?
No plane that exists.
747-400, right?
No, I'd take the Dash 8 if I was going to do
Okay.
that. Yeah, I'll take the slightly improved fuel efficiency, but if I could get one, I
Gotta
would
save
take
those pennies.
SU-27.
That was right.
Yeah,
Colton?
figures.
Probably just an F-16.
Ooh. I
I
mean,
mean, ew.
I would have
16.
expected you to go 35. If you're going to go in the F series, go with the best.
Eh,
15.
No.
15.
give me an F-16
Yes.
was the
Strike
first
Eagle.
one I like.
Yeah.
You don't need to see
memorized
me
and
on
knew
radar.
about.
It's fine.
And for some reason, I like its look. I like its single engine. I just looks badass. Plus,
I mean, its
fighting
thrust to weight
Falcon,
ratio is
so-
greater than 1, so that's great. So it can take off completely vertical.
You have some higher maintenance costs than me, though.
It's okay.
It's true. It's true.
In this world,
In
Martin,
Russia, we
in-
do not care. We have metal plating in front of intakes.
You
No
can see
worries.
Russia from your house,
Put some wood in there. I'll be fine.
I do not live on Little Diomede, so no. But if I lived on Little Diomede, I could see Russia from my house. Alaskan fact.
Is Wasilla
True.
next to Little Diomede?
Maybe it's a
Alaska
flight
isn't
away
that
if you
big,
have a
right?
previous
Right.
flight, or if you have a your
Isn't it
own
like
one of the planes
SU-27.
we
Isn't it
mentioned?
like
Yeah,
Hawaii
exactly.
in terms of the smallest states? Isn't it like Hawaii and then Alaska?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we're also
They're next
located
to
in
each
the
other.
South Pacific too.
Yeah, they're next to
right
each other
next
for
to
that reason.
California. Nobody knows why we're so cold.
It's
And
amazing
I live-
how an island
live in
has
an
such
igloo.
a straight edge.
Yeah, and I live in an igloo too. You're seeing the inside of my igloo right now.
Constantly an igloo.
Oh, yep, completely.
But anyway,
See,
getting
this
back
week we're learning
to...
about Alaska. Anyways, go back.
Get on with it.
So, hop in an Icon A5, get lined up immediately on the runway, take off power, everything is set to just push the throttle forward. By the way, new flight stick.
Ooh.
Airbus.
Yes.
Nice.
Fantastic. I love it. I can't wait for the throttle quadrant to get in now. It's pre-ordered and shipping out in November, I believe.
I do prefer
But either way-
Airbus aircraft over Boeing aircraft for the most part. I know that's sacrilege.
Especially the ones that like to fall out of the sky. Nothing like a minute and 15 checklist item for 45 seconds worth of air.
It's not really fair. I wouldn't. So the
We're not
problem
getting
is
into
that
this problem. No,
that was really the airline's fault
See,
for being
no,
like,
no.
hey,
Everyone's just riding
Off
their
the
bike
rails.
and I'm throwing sticks in the spokes. That's what
Yeah,
that's my
that-
job.
the
That
max.
can be. You know what? Psycho, Cody, you're gonna tell me about this problem next week. Okay, that's your topic for next week. Is that okay? I am challenging you to tell me about that whole situation.
And how they're actually doing the flight testing for it this week.
Yeah,
It's relevant.
Perfect.
Not that anyone
Tune
can
in
really be
next
on.
week. So, yeah, all lined up, ready to go. Look to my left, CW Mountain with the white W with the correct topological features.
Were you lined up on the east side of the runway?
Mhm.
Oh, no one
Into
ever
the
takes
wind.
off from that
Yeah.
side.
It's
Oh.
Yeah, that makes sense.
it's not real, Charlie. It's a game.
Yeah.
But,
He's not really flying the plane.
fine.
So the windage when I was flying that day was coming directly west, 5 knots. So it lined me up on that, and it's like, all right, fantastic. So look to the left, CW Mountain. Look to the right, see something that moderately resembles the terminal building, just totally wrong colors, but correct in the fact that it only has 2 jetways.
Did you ever find out?
Correct in its placement.
Hey, that's 2 more than Kenai.
Is it using Google Maps or Bing Maps or anything like that? Probably
Bing.
Maps.
It is Bing
That's a
Maps
dumb
because
thought right there.
Microsoft.
Microsoft.
Yep.
But
Dare
But-
they use a Google product?
why use a better product? Anyways,
It came out good, so I can't really argue. Would you argue with that, though, Drac?
Okay, so
the antitrust side of you
when
would.
you're flying 1,500 feet off of the ground, Gunnison looks like Gunnison except for... Does anyone know what the tallest building in Gunnison is?
Okay, so
How many
Main place?
stories?
technically it's one of the newest buildings on the college, but
Yeah.
Okay,
if you're
aside
taking,
from the college.
Oh,
if you're
aside from the
taking
college.
that,
wait,
then
is it that
would
damn
be-
radio tower on?
No.
No.
I'm talking
No, the
actual,
hospital.
like, building in town on Main Street. What's the
Oh.
tallest building?
Oh,
the
on
Gunnison
Main-
Hotel. It's a furniture store.
On
No.
no, the main
I-
place.
Main place.
Yeah, the four
Is a
the Loken
three-story
building?
business office.
Oh no, Loken's only 2 stories.
Is the Gunnison furniture store still there, or did that turn into offices?
I think the top part of it is
oh.
offices.
Yeah, because that
But that's
is actually
like
Victorian
a
era
two-ish.
high.
It's 3 stories.
It's 3.
It is 3.
Okay. Either way, so there on Main Street there are some 3 stories, but most everything else is 2 stories unless it's the college.
Yeah, then Hearst
There
maybe.
is 5 and 7-story buildings littered around in the Microsoft Flight Sim version of Gunnison.
Hey, they've
man.
upgraded.
That's
Gunnison,
not right.
Yeah. So it's I mean that is disappointing, but that's because I live here. If you didn't know better, because of how the AI decides to place these buildings, it looks natural.
Is the college
And
there?
because it's there, but it's not right.
What about
It's like there
Well,
are
I mean-
buildings placed on the correct footprints, and I mean that's the thing everywhere in Gunnison. It's the right footprint. It's not
Wrong
always
building.
the right kind of building. It's not always the right kind of roof. It's always not the right color. But the footprint is correct,
so
which
then it would have the ultra wide streets that Gunnison has,
yes,
which is
absolutely.
really the unique thing about Gunnison when you look at it from, or when you drive into it or look at it from the air. That's the first
Yeah.
thing I noticed when moving there is like, why are the streets so wide?
Because
Yeah.
snow.
Actually, I think
But
it's,
yeah, so it's-
cattle or
Yeah.
turning a carriage around.
It just made more sense
Yep.
to do it that way.
Because a lot of the Main Street buildings are still the original buildings from when it was a mining and cattle
It
town.
was going to be the capital at one point. That's why
Gunnison?
Boulevard.
It was
Yep.
in serious contention. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
why
didn't realize
Boulevard
that.
is actually Boulevard.
And has the nice was that median
Yep.
down it.
Little
Parkway
little
style
Podunk
divider.
Gunnison, capital of Colorado. That'd be weird.
Well, if it had been the capital of
That would be
Colorado,
really
I don't
weird.
think
It would have been.
look
It would be
anything like it does.
significantly bigger. That valley probably would have filled up real
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we don't know.
I'm guessing the question I have is: have you flown under the Eiffel Tower yet, Brandon? That's always my favorite thing to do in the Microsoft Simulator.
haven't.
I love doing that.
So I have only had a couple hours kind of first thing in the morning while everybody's still, getting ready for the day or sleeping or whatever to play with it. I haven't done a ton,
Good God, man.
but
What are you doing on the podcast? Go play the game.
right. So I have done a flight, just take off from Gunnison, go around Gunnison, and Lucas was standing behind me and going like, "Oh, that's our house, but it's not quite, the right color, not the right roof. Hey, there's Grandma's house. There's, this family member's house. Hey, here's where we used to live." And so, I mean, you can recognize waypoints. You can navigate by streets, and we ended up flying around Gunnison, flying up 135, Almont, the canyon right there by Almont. spot on. Looks beautiful. The rivers, the bridges there, the Almont looks
topologically,
pretty
it's
good.
probably incredibly accurate since they're using actual maps. They're not
So
just
what I am
they're not
wondering
AI guessing.
is, so if you fly around Denver, or actually probably a better example would be
A tourist
Seattle, downtown Seattle,
New York,
I bet you
Abu
that
Dhabi,
that's more
Tokyo,
accurate
the big areas.
in buildings.
Here's the interesting bit. I have seen, because I'm on the Reddit subreddit r flight sims, and I've been seeing a lot of people posting up like, hey, so the Washington Memorial isn't right. It's a very tall, skinny skyscraper rather than the beautiful marble tower that it
See, I'm
is.
wondering, because we kind of talked about it, was it last week? Or a couple weeks? Well, whatever. When we first
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, when we first talked about this, we kind of talked about the security implications, and you'd think a place like DC, you wouldn't want it to be 100%. I mean,
Yeah, but Google
a bit
Maps.
So there's a difference.
Do you want
there's
it
a
to be
difference between
super?
a major metropolitan area that happens to have
and Area
the leader of the free
51.
world. Ugh, hate saying that in regards to him. But and there's
Sweet
a
potato
very
Hitler.
much a difference between that and Newport News, Virginia, where the shipyards are for the U.S.
It goes
fleet.
back to what Cody was saying.
Right.
DC is it's a world city. Everyone knows about it.
Right.
Everyone knows the monuments. So why would you get it wrong?
Right.
So apparently they took some time on certain areas there. Like, I guess the Lincoln Memorial is just beautifully done. But then just right across the way, yeah, exactly.
They
Washington
couldn't get a-
Monument
way,
Couldn't
DLC.
get a big old dick, correct?
Huh?
It's all gonna be DLCs.
Yeah,
there's the
I'm
extra
wondering,
money.
That's what I'm worried about.
Brandon,
so
have they done
the
any
other thing,
patches or anything already? Since
I have not seen any. But I
God,
mean,
those
here's the
patches
thing:
would be
because
huge.
the scenery is streamed in from their servers,
Oh.
they could make the change on the backside, and you wouldn't necessarily see an update unless you went back and flew there every day.
Oh god, the
So,
data cap again.
Yeah.
Data cap.
Now, the offline mode does still use most of the topology and the road system, and it does a pretty adequate job of kind of like, oh, here's a generic
Wonder how
town.
much it caches if you fly the same spot every day. That
I was gonna say, I got
like if I
one last
download
question.
Alaska, it just downloads it once.
I got one last question because you did mention real-time weather.
Yes.
Is it real-time weather?
It is.
Nice.
It is very, very close to real time. I mean, it would, if there's a minute delay, I would be surprised.
Oh, you need to get on that like Earth.nullschool site and find hurricanes and fly
Into
into
a
them.
hurricane.
There are
Oh!
people that have been doing that. There are people that have been doing that. I
Let's
have
see if
been
there's a hurricane right now.
There is.
Baja, Mexico, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I have
gotcha.
not done
And the
that
TWIL
yet.
weather
It is on the
report,
list to
Cody.
do.
Is there a hurricane somewhere in the world?
Yeah, so
there
I've
was
done-
one. Oh, it's way more minor now than it was before. But yeah, there
Oh.
is one there.
Do you have the option to
Well, and there-
manually set the weather, and do you have the option
Yep.
to turn the
Oh, yeah.
weather back in time, like a day?
Ooh.
I don't know if you can set a specific time, but if you decide, hey, I want to be in a maelstrom, you can definitely create a maelstrom. Or, hey, I know it's the middle of summer, but we're going to have a blizzard all of a sudden, and I'm flying an Icon A5 with no de-icing.
I would
'Cause
want to
it's a summer
fly
aircraft.
a Coast Guard PAPOC in Katrina, like during the hurricane.
Oh,
Or
that would be interesting.
that super typhoon that hit the Philippines back in
Oh, yeah.
2013.
Yeah.
Does it
But-
do surface water events?
Yes, it does.
So tsunamis.
So I was gonna say, yeah, tsunamis,
Ooh,
earthquakes.
time to
What I
land your
understand.
Icon A5 in Japan.
I love
that
it.
looks like a big wave. Let's get down there and ride it. In a, yeah. basically the Icon A5 is basically the side by side of the aircraft world.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. It is a sport light
Yes.
that, because of its classification and its weight classification, here in the United States, it is required to have the parachute edition. So it actually has a safety parachute. So if you stall out or lose an engine or whatever, you pop a chute. And...
It's not just a shoot; it's a $5,000 replace shoot. But you know,
oh yeah, yeah.
Worth
But
it.
I mean, $5,000 or your life.
I can auto rotate.
That's helicopter.
I know. I was trying to be funny.
Okay.
Auto rotate
So you
like
gotta do
this.
is just kind of put the thing
Yeah,
up and just
you know.
Flat spin.
See, if I was being serious, I would have said dead stick.
slide.
Yeah. But
Well,
yeah, so I've been around Gunnison. I've flown from here to Montrose, which is kind of the next city over. But this morning I did something really cool because it's like, you know what? I want to see what there is in Alaska up by Cody. So I took off close to the metropolitan area place there and
Anchorage?
flew down the...
The only metropolitan area? Like, you've got Anchorage or Fairbanks or maybe Juneau.
No. It was actually Kenai.
That's
Kenai
not
Airport.
a metropolitan area. It's bigger than Gunnison.
live there.
They
Whatever.
actually have box
Yeah,
stores.
it's bigger than Gunnison.
they got igloos there.
Yeah.
There's people there. Don't worry.
Big Walmart.
You guys' data up there. So because I have never been there, I cannot tell how good the scenery is, how good the
Pictures?
experience of that town is.
Oh, you posted.
Yeah,
You
I
sent,
put it
all
up.
right, all right.
You need to
I even
screen
added
share
you.
And
Did you
have
send me a
Cody-
direct message? Or was it?
No,
Yeah.
it was just
gonna
a
say-
mention.
Where?
Yeah, put it up on
What
the
channel?
YouTube video.
Pictures.
Okay.
It's
just
it's
pictures.
actually in pictures. Yep. But yeah,
I don't have
so
it set up to do that.
because I was looking at it this morning going, I would really like to fly somewhere where it's like just sunrise, like it's just starting to get light, to see what kind of, because there's supposed to be God rays and all sorts of like atmospheric effects so that you get a realistic sunrise, sunset, clouds, shadows,
The bridge is in the wrong
and it
spot.
was beautiful. Okay.
Or,
See, but
if that's Kenai you took off from...
well,
you took off
and
from
that
Kenai. It's showing a bridge, like right next to on the mouth of the Kenai River. There's no bridge on the mouth of the Kenai River. That bridge is actually like two bends up the river.
okay.
Airport, of course, is in the right spot.
Yep.
I see white smudges where I think stores would be. Let's see, Kasilof. I don't know the area. I've never seen the area around Kasilof from the air.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, and then I ended up going down to Homer.
yeah,
And
you're gonna
that-
have some
I mean,
good
it was
scenery in
it was
Homer.
just beautiful.
Yeah, you should have flown
And
Seward.
it was
You need to fly by Seward and Valdez.
Seward. Okay.
Valdez, not Valdez.
You need to fly the
Valdez.
Great Pyramids of Egypt.
That's a good idea.
There's some people that have already done that. Apparently, there's some collision
Fly to
issues
Epstein's
with the
Island.
models of the pyramid, and if you get too close, it just like
So
flips you.
even though it's rendering as a pyramid, they're object like a box. So you can't,
it
like,
didn't
map-
look like it was quite as bad as a box, but it was definitely the
I'm
difference
sure
between the actual
Microsoft
side and the
has to get those like touristy areas right. I'm sure they're like in future
Yeah.
patches or whatever, they're going to spend more time on pyramids of Egypt, on the
yeah.
Angkor Wat, all these other areas. They're going to focus on those because that's where people are going to fly. The casual flyer, not the.
And then
I saw.
Ooh,
Sorry,
some
this
places
is kind
in
of cut. I
China,
saw
too.
a group of 3 guys did the 16-hour flight from Dubai to. Fuck, what was it? New York to Dubai, something like that. Like in an actual,
Seattle,
in the
you can-
actual. Well,
A380.
regardless, yeah, but they actually did the actual flight in real time, the full 16-hour flight. And they streamed the whole damn thing.
See what would be
Holy
even
crap.
cooler.
I don't know why they did it, but they did it. because they were in a full
there's some
simulation
achievements.
setup.
It's
There's some
people.
achievements for like some of the 8-hour flights that I've kind of been thinking, I could set autopilot and have YouTube up on the other screen, and I could
Like a real pilot.
probably not die of boredom. But I mean, that's kind of thing, is if you want to have that ultra realistic simulation, it's in there. If you want to get low to the ground and do stupid things because you're looking at the pretty scenery, you can absolutely do that. Because I definitely was not flying within proper restrictions in that Icon A5, because I was, buzzing stuff 20 and 30 feet over the tops of roofs going, oh my God, look at that, look at that, look at that. That's cool. Hey, that house kind of looks right. That one definitely doesn't.
So
But
how many
the other thing that
airframes
kind
did
of-
it ship with?
that is a good question.
Because that was the
I
thing
wanna
that
say
I
it's
got pissed off with the last
15
Microsoft Flight Simulator
initially.
game I played.
Yeah,
What,
and that's
70
that's
bucks
kind of the
for the
problem right
basic
now
version?
is there's not that many.
It's all the microtransactions to get all the planes you want.
Oh
Well,
yeah, they don't
but
have the
how much is the
A380,
base
do
version
they?
right now?
They have the A380 Neo in the base because that's the whole gimmick with the
Okay.
Airbus. This is the like 1-to-1 replica. I don't think it actually has a trigger on it, but it's a 1-to-1 replica of the actual side stick, which is revolutionary in the commercial aviation industry. It's always been a yoke, but this is modeled after the real side stick in the A380 Neo. But let's see.
How much is
Wait,
the
they have
base
it.
version?
Oh, $59.99, I think, for the base. You can get the one that's got everything for $120.
I didn't think there was
But
an
I got the-
A380 Neo.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Okay, I thought that was just A330 Neo.
So here is my level of geekdom, because I actually have my twin engine IFR rating. Can you do like blacked out windows? Can you fly by IFR only? Because that was something you couldn't do with a Century flight.
So you cannot, as far as I know, you cannot like black the windows. But if you do a night flight and do your IFR filing and stuff like that, it has all of the right stuff for IFR in it.
Okay. Does it have intelligent radio? Where you
Yes.
so you can talk to it and it talks to you back?
No, but it has. So it has a set list on the ATC on your radio stack that you can basically go, hey, here's my location. Hey, Denver, Maine, I want you to track my flight, and they will feed you like, okay, you have a radar contact at this location, this distance, this
That'd
altitude.
be kind of cool.
It blew my mind. I have never, in the previous flight simulators I've played, I've never really done the ATC thing. I've never worried about taxiing and ground protocol. It is get up in the air and actually fly and have fun. And I mean, sometimes I'd be like, okay, how do I start this from a cold state? But even that, like the checklist has a little button next to it that you can actually, if you're not familiar with that aircraft, you can click it and it will highlight the control and kind of zoom you to it, so you
Nice.
actually know, okay, here's the magneto control, here's your fuel primer, here's your pitch, your throttle, everything, and it walks you through the checklist.
Okay,
So-
I gotta get
Oh,
this.
that's awesome.
This is as far down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theory I will ever go, I promise. I actually have a problem with that, because what it'll do is it'll allow people who have no business being in the cockpit of an aircraft to be able to commandeer an aircraft and fly it. And yeah,
I mean, you could argue that even with Flight Sim X or Century of Flight, because it had clickable toggles in the cockpit, that you could
They
do
still
that.
have to get into.
They already had
cockpit.
the-
That's
What was it? 2 years ago, they had the maintenance guy for Alaska Airlines
Steal the
Q400. that actually ended sadly, but yeah. But I don't know. First of all, you have to be somebody who's going to get this.
Oh.
Like, with enough
You
research.
have to get this. You have to have a computer that will actually run this, an internet connection that will run this.
To be fair,
No data cap.
That's perfectly attainable in a city.
It is.
That's not really.
But honestly, if you had the money, why couldn't you just contract with the people that make the Boeing flight simulators? And you're like, hey, I am a total legitimate businessman, and I need a flight simulator.
Did you just do the pinky?
Yes, I did. I totally did the pinky.
Because Dr. Evil is now Russian.
Oh my gosh.
Why not?
I would say on that excellent note, Brandon, we may have to wrap this up. We've been going for a while.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I do want to just answer your initial question. There are 20 aircraft types in the base level, and I was wrong. It's not an A380. It's an A320 Neo.
Okay.
And that is
a huge difference.
Yeah.
But it's only one number.
So one number.
Yeah, one number.
It's the difference between flying
Cody,
a skyscraper or flying, something that's, yeah.
And Cody, just for you, the base model has the Boeing 747-8 intercontinental version. You could fly that. You could fly that plane. But then each additional version is 5 additional planes and 5 additional scenery locations.
So do they have real airline liveries too? So could I fly Korean Air?
I haven't messed with the commercial planes because I don't really care about that aspect of it. I am more interested in single and twin engine light aircraft that I could conceivably in my lifetime own and operate.
Yeah. Okay. I think you've convinced me to get it.
Okay. And we can play multiplayer.
Okay. Yeah, you've convinced me.
Yeah.
Anyway, it has been. I will stop asking questions. We're getting excited.
Okay. I will stop answering questions for now.
I'm sure we'll have more by next
if
week,
you have any questions, please put them in the comments.
Oh, please. Or email us at twil@thetechpirate.net, and I'd be happy to try my best to answer any questions you might have. Or any one of us that might have a specialty in that particular topic. But for now, I have been Brandon Vader. You can find me on thetechpirate.net, YouTube, and I am The Tech Pirate on YouTube. Cody, where can we find you?
You can find me here in Alaska, right next to California in the South Pacific Ocean. You can find me on
Baja. It's okay.
Internet. Pretty sure my Twitter is Zito Valder because Blizzard. I have an Instagram. Does Instagram go off your name like Facebook since Facebook is? I don't know. I think I'm Zito Valder on Facebook or on Instagram. So I don't know. Anyway, that and then YouTube, striving to fail or striving for failure. I don't know.
Striving to fail.
Thank you. See, I just keep doing it anyway.
I even put it in the script
you
this
keep
week.
Failing.
Oh yeah. Well, it's gonna be a thing. I'm just gonna. I have too much information in my head right now.
Like knowing where people are.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Good job. Good job. Okay. Anyway, Seeker,
Colton,
where can we find you?
I have been Colton Roper.
Where can you seek the Seeker?
Well, you can seek me at multiple locations. I am a contributor to thetechpirate.net. You can find me on Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter, as well as YouTube, all under the same name, Seeker4761.
That's how many days?
And that is the amount of sharks. Oh. That is the amount of sharks that he had to kill in order to get that fancy necklace.
It's a meteorite, but it was. I got
They were
confused. I
guarding
thought
it.
I
Well,
looking
it
for
was in
teeth.
the
I
gullet of a shark.
Yep. They were all guarding it.
Cody, what was yours?
I was gonna say that's how many days he thinks it'll be until we have a vaccine.
Ooh,
That's a very low estimate, but
Oh. Damn. Worse. So much worse.
oy.
all right. And with that,
Well-
I am Charlie Stifler, and you can find me at Milnoir, MIJOLNOIR, on Twitch. I'm also on YouTube and occasionally here.
Yes.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for being here. And thank you, everyone, for joining us for this episode of This Week I'm Learning. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts, as well as on YouTube at This Week I'm Learning. If you'd like to contact us, as I said before, you can send an email to TWIL@thetechpirate.net. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.